Hello, welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of the K-Pop Bible. I am one of your hosts, Angel.
And this is Lee.
And Cece, of course.
Now, before we dive deep into all that we have to talk about, all of the who's who and the what's what, let's get serious for a moment and take a moment of silence to pay our respects to Astro's Moonbin, who we have recently lost.
Amen.
So instead of focusing on what happened, I think we should take a second to really just celebrate his life and share any antidotes or things that we really, really enjoyed about Moonbin.
I mean, I just feel like the world lost a really great talent, a really great performer. But, you know, the best part of it, his legacy will always be remembered. Him and his group has left a really amazing body of work. So I'm really happy that at least he's going to exist in that realm for ever and ever. Deepest condolences to his family, especially his sister. And I really hope that we remember what he was, which was an amazing performer, amazing artist, and a good person. So thank you for your service. Thank you for your light. And thank you for leaving us with a wealth of just beautiful art to remember you by.
Yeah, and to also kind of add to that, I have interacted with Moonbin as both a fan and as a volunteer. As a fan, got to high touch with Astro at their concert at Town Hall years ago, and his smile and his energy, it was just so bright and so caring for all of the auras. He was just really awesome in that way. And there was even a K-pop festival years ago where I got to work security and guard Astro's dressing room. And I can tell you, he is so fun, so bubbly, and just a true light that will shine every time the sun rises and the stars twinkle.
And before we move on, I just want to recap for those who haven't been keeping up with K-pop. On April 19, 2023, it was announced that unfortunately Moonbin had passed away. It was confirmed by his agency later on. And I remember first seeing the news and immediately I sent it to you guys in a group chat that we have. Mm-hmm. But before that, I was kind of in shock because it was just so left field. I think every time that there's news like this is like the third or fourth death that I've gone through personally since my time being a fan of K-pop. But every time that it happens, it feels like so strange because you know them through their art and their legacy. But then just as a human, you just kind of feel like, wow, like our time in this life is pretty short and you really don't know what could happen. So I think that definitely my condolences to his family and his bandmates. I know that Ian Woo, he immediately flew in to be part of the funeral. I think he was in California for the Coachella weekend when this happened, and he immediately flew in as well with the other members to be with his family and mourn. But again, we just wanted to take some time to really just, you know, talk about that because it's really important that we don't forget his legacy. But as K-pop goes, everything moves so fast, and we wanted to start off with that just so we can give you guys a second to also acknowledge what happened and mourn yourselves before we dove into the craziness of K-pop.
So fast because wasn't he just promoting and doing shows and stuff before?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He was in the middle of a promotion schedule.
I remember him even dancing to Rover on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Again, lesson out here. Companies, fans, take care of your talent and allow these idols to take breaks when they need.
So let's move on to talk about the Met Gala. I know it's been a long time since you guys heard of us, but K-pop moves so fast. So we are definitely going to talk about everything that we've missed in these past 2 weeks. So for the Met Gala, we had Jennie from Blackpink and Jackson Wang. Jennie was wearing Chanel.
Archived Chanel.
And Jackson was wearing Louis Vuitton because he is ambassador. So what are you guys' thoughts about their outfits that they wore to the Met Gala?
I feel like there's not much to talk about. I know Jennie is a Chanel ambassador, so obviously she had to be there. I believe what she wore was an archive piece from 1992, maybe. And it's a very pretty dress, but I think for me, my issue is Karl Lagerfeld's tenure at Chanel was so long and vast, and I feel like there were so many like archive pieces that she could have pulled from. Like, I would have loved if Jennie had worn like one of the wedding dresses, because Dua Lipa, she had wore, I think, a wedding dress from 1992, 93 as well. Again, very pretty dress. Is it Jennie's style? Yes, but I just feel with the amount of archive looks that she had at her disposal, I would have liked her to pull out something that was a little bit more show-stopping.
I think she played it safe, just like Rosé did last year, because, you know, she had that simple black dress, and same thing with Jennie.
I think Rosé's Yves Saint Laurent look from that was off the rack. Like, I think the backstory, she had went to a flagship store, looked through the rack, and picked it out. Like, Jennie literally went into the archives and was like, I want this dress. And I think when you're dealing with a haute couturier that Chanel that has such a vast and just again, Karl Lagerfeld in the 90s had some of the best pieces, I think, of the Chanel catalog. And I think out of all things she could have pulled, I expected a little bit more from her.
Can we talk about Jackson Wang and what he wore?
Well, Angel didn't say anything about this archive piece. What do you think about this, Angel?
I mean, if there was something to say, I would say it.
And so with that, let's move on to Jackson Wang.
Angel's not playing with us today. Jackson, I mean,
He wore all black.
Black pants. It's sort of a military.
It was Karl, though.
Well, Karl Lagerfeld, he's more of a blazer with a white shirt with a puff collar. I mean, looking at the photo, it is giving a very military.
Gives me Michael Jackson, too.
It's giving a very French military vibe. I don't know. I feel like this is a look that you can wear anywhere. Like, it doesn't scream a Met Gala.
Well, for me, I feel like it kind of falls in line with Jackson's whole Magic Man vibe that he's promoting right now, from the waist up at least. I personally would like to have seen some of that detail that was in the jacket, which kind of gives me like ringmaster vibes, taken down to the pant with like some detail down the side. It just feels like it's a very nice jacket, great gloves, great glasses, but then we just have like plain black slacks with like a heeled black boot. Like, we could have had metallic on the heel, brought that trend back. We could have had, you know, a little more gold standout. I feel like there could have been more. Now, is Jackson fine and he looks good? Of course. But like, you know, I feel like we could have done even more to enhance the vibe.
Do you know what I think would have elevated? There was a Chinese celebrity that was there, and he had the same texture of the coat be the same texture of the pants. I think maybe if Jackson would have had that same sequin, because it's like a black matted like sequin. If that was the same fabric for the top, be the same fabric of the pant, I think that would have had a cute moment as well.
Let's move on to other news. So it was announced on May 3rd that EXO's Kai was going to enlist suddenly out of nowhere. And so he went into the military starting May 11th. And I just wanted to acknowledge that because he is my son. And when I saw that news, I was a little taken back because he was in the middle of preparing for EXO's comeback. They were literally in the middle of recording their album and potentially working on, you know, photo shoots and music video. And all of a sudden, this literally came out of nowhere. And he even was like taken aback because he did like a live stream and he was like crying about it.
I have a question. Is there a scandal brewing, or was there a scandal brewing that they wanted to cut down? Because that's giving very old school SM, like send him away to the military.
What actually happened was because of Ravi's scandal, the military police or the person in charge of, you know, enlistment started cracking down on everyone. And so before they would be a little bit more lenient about the time when they could go in, and each person sort of gets like a certain number of exemptions that they can use towards, you know, pushing back their date. But apparently because of what had transpired with Ravi,
his friend had to fuck it up for him.
Yeah. and so apparently he'd used up enough exemptions. And so they couldn't postpone his enlistment anymore.
It's really sad. I mean,
because he literally had just come off of promoting Rover, and like every single idol covered that.
And I think he was going to do a mini
He was
I
gonna
heard
do a
him-
concert.
Yeah, like a mini show, and then he was
the
gonna
reality
do
show.
EXO.
The
Yeah.
reality show. He was gonna do EXO's comeback, and he was gonna go on tour.
Mm.
And now all of this is like
Delayed.
delayed. So thank you for that.
Well, now we can save up for the tour because these ticket
Period.
prices.
That's the thing, sis. But also, no shade. Listen, I need y'all to stop coming for Kai. Say he does not look good with that military buzz cut. It was just
He
the
looks
photo.
so cute. First of all, I don't think his barber really knows how to do
Like a buzz cut.
a shape up. What do you call it? I'm not a guy.
He had a buzz cut.
He didn't know how to do it
No,
for
but
his
did you
head
see the
shape.
video that Suho helped him with his hair?
Yeah, because so apparently it's tradition
the
before
yeah.
you go into the military that your father is the one who shaves it off. And because Kai's dad unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, Suho took on that role and he helped him.
Hair grows back, people. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, y'all need to stop coming for Kai. Kai still looks good, okay? It just has to go out a little bit and just zhuzh and add some product, and he's gonna slay.
While we're talking about SM, can we talk about the announcement that they made about Lucas officially leaving Wavy?
I'll read the statement and then I'm gonna give my tinfoil hat moment. This is SM Entertainment. We have an announcement to share with you regarding Lucas's future plans. After our deliberate discussion, we made a mutual decision to part ways with the group NCT and Wavy to pursue his individual endeavors. We ask for your understanding and continuous support as this was a decision taken after much consideration of both the members and all the fans who have supported. Lucas is planning on showing his performances through a wide variety of individual works from now on. Once again, we sincerely appreciate lavished love and support from all the fans and ask for your continuous support and interest in the future. Thank you.
Dramatic reading was that.
I love that.
It's called
Angel.
a Leo's reading. That's what it's called.
So how do we feel about this?
So if you notice, it says Lucas is leaving NCT and Wavy. Lucas is also in Super M. There's no statement about that here. And Kai just went to the military. So I'm just saying.
But do you think that there's going to be a Super M comeback though? Because Kai is the center.
They had been supposed to be a Super M moment.
Yeah,
but they were waiting.
They were waiting on Taemin.
Taemin, and then also with the Lucas situation, I have my tinfoil because I was reading. It said and the members. So is this a Jessica situation where the group had got together and was like, he needs to go? Because, you know, we remember the tea where like Jessica went on Weebio and typed with the when she was in that airport. Because remember,
It's crazy. She found out the same time the whole world found out when that statement came out.
she found out in the airport when she was going to China. I think maybe 10 minutes around, maybe a little bit before. And she had taken a Weavy and was like, no, the members kicked me out. And so I'm curious, because a part of that whole scandal was the girl had said, Lucas complains that he's carrying the members. The members are not as talented as him. Just a side eye I gave to that. But like, I'm curious on if there was fallback from that scandal. And so because of how that went, is it maybe the members were like, hey, I think it's best for you to step away, and he respected that?
I know one member who was definitely pissed off, Hendry, because he had that collab with Lucas, Jalapeno, literally never aired. We never heard it because of the scandal that
But
happened.
we saw the teasers.
I mean, I have a little birdie, and I've heard jalapeno, and we deserve the bop. We deserve.
Oh, it was a bop.
Oh, it was a full bop from front to back. That song is a full bop, and it needs to be released. I'm just saying.
Again, I'm curious, is it his decision or the group's decision that he leaves?
Or the company, because remember, recently, a couple months ago, the CEO of SM Entertainment took a selfie with Lucas and posted it to Instagram. And their entire comments were completely against Lucas. The fandom want him out.
And
They don't even want him in the company
I don't
anymore.
understand why. Because, okay, I get it. There was a scandal where he allegedly had girlfriends. I think we spoke about it.
Yeah, we don't have to get into
But
specifics
I
because you
just
guys can
think
just.
for me, I feel like a lot of male idols, I won't say names, have done a lot of questionable things. Actually, I will say names. Many of y'all are defending Sungri until the wheels fall off. And Sungri was involved in sexual assault. So I think we can forgive Lucas for an alleged situation that we have no proof. And also, Lucas is partially the victim because he was allegedly outed. So let's give Lucas some grace if there is for the haters, okay?
And this power can be used for both good and for, but the trucks that some fans on, like for Shiny, making sure that they had a proper venue for their like 15-year anniversary sending trucks, but then other aunties will send trucks about we still need to kick out Chen and Chanel from EXO. So it's like, I feel like in general with SM stands specifically, it's just like, it's going to be a PR thing one way or the other where there needs to be a lot of deliberation and consideration for what's going on. But in my personal opinion, I'm excited to see what Lucas does next.
Well, I think Lucas might be a little bit more lucrative on his own. I think Lucas, yeah, he can rap. Yeah, he can dance.
But also, let's not spend too much time on Lucas because Lucas ain't that important. No shade.
Keep that in.
Yeah, I'm about to say, girl.
You said
You gotta keep that in. I'm just saying.
Wait, hold on.
Last conspiracy. Do you think since Mr. Choi Si-woon is getting up there, they need that sort of actor visual to replace him and Lucas just can be that?
I don't see him as like an actor.
And I don't think he even liked being on reality shows because that was one of the things that came out when the whole rumor started. He was saying how he hated being on Running Man.
But in the words of someone wise, let's not talk about Lucas because he's not that important. So,
Moving on, can we talk about Pinkchella? Because we completely did not talk about that in the last episode. And so what are you guys' thoughts about their performance at Coachella?
I'm the type of girl slays. I'm sorry. That song, Pinkchella, moment.
Can we talk about how we literally were talking about whether or not their outfits were going to be coordinating and they came through?
I personally think because I know the first weekend they wore Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah.
Of all the designers you have ties to YG Entertainment, really?
Okay, first week
Not
they
Dolce?
didn't give
You
it,
don't like
but
Dolce?
second week I did like their outfits.
Oh, yeah. Dolce.
But apparently, here's the tea. There was another designer, less known designer, that was already lined up to do their outfits, and then they, in the last second, snatched them up along with other stars at Coachella weekend.
Oh, yeah, because a lot of people wore Dolce & Gabbana. I felt like, and that's the thing that was really confused. I was like, is Dolce sponsoring this year? And we just don't know about it?
Angel, what did you think of their performance?
I feel like their performance is great for Pinkchella. And I also kind of feel like it kind of quieted some of the haters that were like, where's the energy for Blackpink's performance? It's like, when they're ready to show out, they're ready to show out. But like when you're on a tour where you are back to back to back to back, you need to reserve your energy because like it gets exhausting. Like how many times are you going to drop some money? You know what I mean?
In the beginning of their tour that everyone shaded, that was their first time performing together
In years.
in a while. So I think now since the girls are together and they're zhuzhed and they're synchronized, I expect it to be a good show.
Can we take a second to thank the backup dancers because they did that?
And also production. I will say when they appeared with those feather fans,
Yep.
and I was like,
was probably
come
my
on, a little
favorite,
bit of
yeah.
production value.
But also, here's my thing. Where is Sour Candy? Why do you girls refuse to perform the bop?
Because Lady Gaga's not here.
And y'all couldn't have like CGI Lady Gaga perform at Coachella?
You know Lady Gaga is very tight about her image. Lady Gaga would have been like, you have to pay to have me there.
But Rosalia performed a lot of her songs without the artist that she features, and she just had like their music video playing in the background.
Yeah, but they're not Gaga.
But they're not Lady Gaga.
Gaga.
Anyways,
Gaga has an Oscar. Like Gaga is very close to becoming like an EGOT winner. So Gaga's very much, you're not about to use me without some coin.
while we're talking about Pinkchella, a couple of rumors came out of that weekend pertaining to Lisa. The first rumor is that she may or may not have hooked up with Dominique Fike from HBO's Euphoria. And another rumor is that she's actually dating an LVMH heir named Frederick.
Listen, I'm all for Lisa collecting the coin and these rich boys give beautiful gifts, Lisa. So, bitch, you better get yourself a Birkin and that expensive bright green Chanel clutch. Girl, you better. I'm not mad at any of it.
That's the thing too, is like every time like I wouldn't say like annoying or aggravating, but like every time like any idol does anything related to the opposite gender, everyone's all up in arms. I'm like, these people are people. Now, are they dating? Are they hooking up? Who knows? But you know what? If Lisa is having a good and safe time, I want Lisa to have a good and safe time and drop some money, allegedly.
Have them drop all the money on you. Lady ATM.
But I think the reason why people are saying this is because she was watching his set, and then they were later spotted together backstage, and he was wearing her sweater and vice versa for both weekends. And apparently, you know, that selfie that they uploaded on Instagram drove everyone crazy, and he followed her and his family started following her. And that same weekend, his girlfriend, Hunter, who is also from Euphoria, literally had to say that she's no longer with him after Coachella weekend.
Well, listen, it happens. You traveling, there's a boy you talking to, and you in the same city, and you with your girls, and you don't want to see your girls all the time. You need some male attention. And so, yeah, she went to his set, made an appearance, and, you know, you've never dated a boy or a girl, and you accidentally forgot to give them back something. Listen, Lisa's embodying my favorite quote from the show Glee. In the words of Kitty, boys are like cold. They're dirty, they're dark, and they get warm when you rub up against them. But some turn into diamond, and you better collect all the diamonds you can. I feel like, why not? She's like, what, the biggest K-pop artist on the face of the planet currently, according to Instagram.
And the MTV VMAs when she won Best K-pop.
So I just feel like...
Let her have her hot girl summer.
Let her have her hot girl decade. And speaking about my girl out of hot girl summer, let's talk about her new collaboration with the legend TAEYANG on their new single, Shoong. Okay, guys.
Well, I liked it. It was definitely...
The pause.
Well, because there's just a lot of music that has come out, and I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to recollect what happened. But I think it was a cute song. I definitely think that they complement each other. You know, Lisa and TAEYANG, they both have that same kind of energy to them in terms of their style and just like overall vibe. So I really liked it. There wasn't really anything that I had like criticisms about the song.
Okay, so we're going to stand on very two different hills right now because I'm going to be honest. I liked it, but I just feel like her flow on it, Lisa to me is much more of a flow rapper where she rides the beat. I feel like she tried to be a little bit more melodic, a little bit more. And to me, controversial opinion, I think if they were going to go that melodic rap part, I think Jennie would have been a little bit better for it because that's Jennie's zhuzh. When you look at like my favorite Jennie flow, which was Whistle, when she started to just ride it, that's more Jennie's zhuzh. But I think in terms of, again, what you think about compliment, Jennie's a pretty girl. Like, I don't think she matches TAEYANG's more swaggalicious flow. It could have been better if they would have really gotten the flow for her together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, now that you say Jennie, I'm like, I can hear Jennie doing that rap. But the thing is, first of all, Shoong, I love this song. But it was also choreographed by Bailey Sok, who is wildly talented. And like TAEYANG being known for his dance moves, I feel like performance-wise, it made sense to be done with Lisa, who was also in TAEYANG's Ring-a-Ling-a music video years back. So for her to go from like being in the video to now being like with him on a track was really good. But now that you say Jennie, like I almost kind of wish like it was like featuring Lisa and Jennie, where you have like Jennie sitting in like a big Chanel chair doing her flowy rap, and then you have Lisa do a different kind of flow, but like dancing with TAEYANG, and then you would have that like fuller like environment.
Because for me, when I look at a lot of the songs that Lisa shines on, it's a much more harder, more so where she's really like boom baya, where she's just really just attacking it and she's really riding the flow. Feel like just how the production was, I kind of would have liked maybe a breakdown a little bit to add some contrast where she could have shined. I know it's TAEYANG's song, but I don't think her style was really suited. Like, again, because there's other melodic female rappers out there, but I think in terms of like giving me that zhuzh, I would have done on just in terms of the song itself, I would have done Jennie. But when you do talk about it, in terms of like dance and the performance, Lisa just seems like a better fit. Yeah.
Hey, Teddy, if you're listening to us right now, we would like a Blackpink song featuring TAEYANG. Thank you. Let's move on to the next song.
Perfume.
Spritz. Okay, what do we think of? Because this is the first NTC like subunit kind of.
No, because Taeyang and
Oh yeah. Oh, we forgot about
NCT's whole concept is a bunch of subunits, and they're just subunits of subunits.
Yeah.
But like this is the first like new subunit they've done in like
a while.
minute.
It's the first one in a while.
I mean, I love the song. I just think this is a very timeless, very chic song. I don't know if this is super like memorable per se in terms of like, because again, we're very early in the year, so I don't know by the end of the year how this song is going to match up. But I think honestly, this is to me what I would love NTC's 127's new sound to be like. You know, I just think that this is a great sound and I wish they explore it more. Again, this is a good chef's kiss.
Correction, NCT. Because my
NCT.
friend was listening to our podcast and she was like,
I
he
told-
keeps saying NTC.
Yep.
Who's NTC?
I told you NCT.
I'm
It's
sorry.
NCT.
It's just sorry.
I
It's
was
sorry.
like-
It's like the dyslexia of it all.
That's
I'm
what I told her.
Neo-culture technology.
But not to offend anyone out there, our friend is dyslexic.
Amen. Well, I'm gonna say that neoculture because I feel like that's actually yeah. But no, I love it. I think it was a great song.
And I just want to say that my Jeffrey, Jaehyun, Jamal did such a great job with his.
Did you say Jamal, bitch?
Let me tell you, there's even Taeyong called him Jamal. It's a whole thing on the internet. If you're not on that side of TikTok, get on it because it's hilarious. But he did a great job with it because the original challenge was just about the chorus, but then fans loved his yeah that's me, and like it turned into an entire challenge of its own and really, I think, made the song more memorable.
So
he
are you
just put
saying
his,
that he's welcome to the cookout?
Oh, absolutely. And he
Okay.
put his own like C'est bon fier on it. I do not speak for the entire community, but in
for
my
our
personal
cookout, if we
opinion,
were-
for
if-
my personal,
If the K-pop Bible was throwing a cookout, he's
yes,
on the guest list?
for my
Okay.
personal event.
He's my
Yes.
bias too in this group.
Oh,
Well, NCT in
absolutely.
general.
Honestly, he's like my bias reckoner.
He's my bias.
He's my
Because Yuta's my bias.
Johnny's my NCT bias of all time. Jaehyun has been my bias wrecker, but he's kind of been bumped to bias because Yuta has been wrecking me live. For every time I see Yuta live, I'm like, sir, you take after Miyavi, and I love Miyavi too.
And can I say something? That movie Yuta was in can beat me up any day, Yuta. Thank you. But yeah, no, I think it's a great song. I would give it, if we're giving a score, I would give it a good 9. Like a good 9 out of 10.
Would you want him to bite you?
No, but talking about biting, ENHYPHEN released a song called Bite Me, and what do we think about it?
I love it.
It was very grown for them. I was not ready for that.
Because honestly, I've never really gotten full into the ENHYPHEN craze. Like when I went to KCON LA last time, I mean, every time ENHYPHEN was even played, when they weren't even in the area, it was just like madness. And like I like some of their songs, but I wasn't like, oh my God, ENHYPHEN. But this song, I was like, oh, this is for the adult K-pop fans. And I think its production value is there, and I think they did invest in that production.
I love a good concept done right. And I think the vampire concept in K-pop has been beaten to death. But how they did it, I enjoyed it. My only thing is I feel like, because, she loves vocals. And I feel like my only thing with them is, do you feel like a lot of the members, like I feel like they have a very Red Velvet issue where a lot of the members do kind of sound alike. Like, I'm sort of newer to them. But I feel like, except like maybe Sunu, I can't really tell them apart from each other. Like, people were like, Jake did the last chorus. I was like, I didn't know that. I thought that was someone else. You know what I mean? So that's and also to critique the video, I kind of need them to get better with their synchronization, because there's very moments where I'm like, there's a few times that they're kind of behind a little bit.
I know when I say production, I'm talking about like the song.
Oh no, the video was a hit. I loved that sort of, because I think it was done in Italy or somewhere in Europe, and it was beautiful. Like, it really did give me modern day Twilight, expensive vampire royalty. It's just, when you look at some of the dance clips, you can sort of tell like, oh, it's one or two of them are not really. But again, I think everything with this comeback was done pretty quickly.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
feel like that's a thing with K-pop. For some reason, a lot of these comebacks that are pumping out are literally done in like...
No, honestly, I think that's something we can definitely like delve into in a future episode of the K-pop
Yeah,
Bible.
I
It's
mean-
definitely like how like back in the day, it would take a whole year for a group to come back, or like 8 months or so, where now we're having like people take a 2-week break and then they're back with another B-side and a whole repackage. And I mean, just like, but even though this was done quickly, I think it was still done pretty well. And you know what? I think they did a super job.
Let's move on to talk about 17.
Okay, can I say something? When I said this song is the definition of same line hits differently, Mingyu versus a Mingyu. What are you doing to me? Because I'm not. Because I was
He's
not.
my bias.
Because I was not a Mingyu girl. So my bias.
I'm a menu girl.
My bias is Hoshi. I've always been here for Miss Hoshi because I feel like Hoshi No Shade might be a part of the sisterhood allegedly, but like
So is Mingyu,
'cause that's
allegedly.
problematic. But when Mingyu was coming out, and I was like, Mingyu, what are you doing? I thought the song was great. I think it's based on a Korean like story, like a folk like sort of like an Iliad and Odyssey sort of vibe. Can I say something? 17 is that group you can't touch when it comes to a head-to-toe concept, video,
Vocals.
choreography, vocals. And I love that they have mastered the art of a large group with each member having their own distinct persona and character. Like they're like one of the few large groups that I can literally give you all their names and be like, da-da-da. Solid. I'm going to say this now. Contender for Song of the Year for me. Slay me.
While we're on a high note, can we move on to talk about August D?
Well, y'all have nothing to say about Super. Y'all better have something to say about Super.
I just want to say really quickly about Super that I love my team, I love my crew, and also I love my man Vernon. Okay, now we can move on.
Now you loving the baby of the group, girl.
But first of all, Vernon is a fellow New Yorker, and I will
Very
always
that.
ride with fellow New Yorkers. I'm just going
It
to say.
is crazy as he gets older, the more he looks like Leonardo DiCaprio. It's really crazy.
August D.
Which one?
Which one?
Whichever you guys want to talk about.
Let's talk about HAEGEUM.
Can you please break down the lore for us,
Yeah,
Angel?
I
Because
didn't
you
know
are
there was a whole
you are
No,
certified.
I am not an expert at this
But-
lore. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I know people probably will go in the comments and be like, "She is missing half of the story."
But she is our certified army
But can you tell
in
us
the
what the
K-pop
video
Bible.
was about?
Which one, HAEGEUM?
Yeah.
Okay, so with HAEGEUM, you kind of get this play between the Yoongi that. Let's actually break this up a little bit. In this video, we're really dealing with kind of Suga and August D. In like sort of like the person in the suit who's kind of, seen as kind of like gangsta leader in that sort of
The
way.
boss.
It's kind of like the Suga that's been brought up in this, big hit to HYBE, larger capitalist kind of entity and kind of like has gotten whisked away and kind
So
of
he's like the
hype.
manufactured version of him.
In a way, this is all my personal assessment. Please don't come for me. And if you do, it's my personal assessment. And then you have August D, who's always going to be more of that rebellious figure, more of that like, you can't tell me nothing. I'm going to do what I need to
The
do.
artist.
Yeah, and that more creative spirit, but also the one that has the street smarts. And, when you see towards the end of the music video, those street smarts come out. And so it's really, in HAEGEUM, it's really a great play between, sort of that capitalist entity, acknowledging your past and kind of evaluating your journey as an artist. And I feel like that's something that Yoongi does incredibly well, is really conveying the story of his artistry and sort of the source of how he became who he is today without sort of being like, oh, I'm too good for anything. Like, he's like, no, I'm a gangsta all day through and I have my street smarts with me forever. Even though now I can afford all the Valentino.
While we're on that topic, Lee actually brought up something very interesting while we were walking on our way to his studio about this current debate that's happening with him. Can you break it down for us?
So Suga has made history. He is the first rapper to sell over 1 million copies for one album. I think the numbers are at 3 million now. And basically a lot of BTS fans or just fans in general are like, we really want to see him getting nominated in the hip hop categories at the Grammys and at the BET Awards, which was a stretch. But basically, and that's caused a lot of backlash because, the hip hop establishment is very much, we don't recognize him. Like, yes, he's the first, because a lot of fans have pointed out that the hip hop community hasn't been celebrating, that achievement, saying that, oh, he's a rapper and he's breaking a lot of barrier for rappers now. And again, the establishment is very much like, we're not celebrating because we don't recognize this success. Yes, he has numbers, but like.
And he was also like the highest grossed rapper to sell like a stadium.
Yeah. And so very much they're like, he's a rapper, but he's not real hip hop. He hasn't paid the same dues as like his contemporaries. Like, he hasn't paid the same dues as like coming up.
Jack Harlow.
Hopping his mixtape. And again, that's the thing, what I want to say. But I think for me, I think that's the controversy. A lot of people in the hip hop community do not recognize Sugar, or they're not celebrating him, or they don't see the need for him to be not recognized in getting those hip hop nominations and stuff like that, because they're like, he's not a hip hop artist. Like, just because you rap doesn't make, because again, which is true, Doja Cat's a rapper, but is she a hip hop artist?
Well, I want to actually get into that because, in my opinion, Yoongi is a hip hop artist. He used to sell he used to produce songs and would sell them for 10 cents. And he was making his hustle in Korea in the underground rap scene, selling songs, writing them tirelessly. He even talks about how he did like food delivery services. And that's where even my AMYGDALA comes up about how he got hit by a car while he was making a food delivery. So he's done his hustle in Korea. Is it the same exact way as like over here? No. Is he black? No. But also a lot of his influences are black people. And are we going to ignore the fact that he did get captured by a bunch of black people for that BTS in America show with Coolio, Rest Coolio's soul? But are we going to forget that, like, they are openly, and even with like their support of Black Lives Matter, it's like, it's not the exact same as like a black artist coming up in the States with all of the other intersectional points. But like, I personally feel like Yoongi has paid his dues in a different way. And I feel like, and I'm seeing this more and more online, we're just now starting to acknowledge, like, the global impact of hip hop. And it's more of a respect thing of like, if you respect the origins of hip hop and you respect your inspirations and you pay respects to your inspirations and the community at large, you're really doing your part and you are a hip hop artist.
That same way of like Shania Twain in the 90s with country music, I think the fact that like, back then in the day, to be recognized as a full-blown of that establishment, you had to come to Nashville. You had to work in Nashville. There were certain steps you had to do to be recognized. And I think maybe that's the thing where I think it's the fact that like they're saying he was already a star in his own sublane and now he's being carried over. I think for them, it's that thing of like, we didn't see the struggle. So if he would have came to America, worked in the studios, did the whole performing in clubs, kissing the ring, I think maybe that's where it is. It's like very much, we're not acknowledging because we didn't see him do the hard work in our arena. You know what I mean?
But while we're talking about that, can we talk about an artist who did try to do that and just hasn't been able to reach that success, Jay Park? But before we get into that, I do have another question to pose. Do you think it's because there's this stigma behind K-pop stars that their rappers are not really rappers? Because there's a perception, about idol rappers that
they're usually the weakest singer. They're the ones that know the most English. They don't write their raps.
So do you think that he is completely separate from that category? Or how do you think all of this is like influences people's perception about rappers who are Korean and also K-pop rappers?
Do you know the longest running number one who has the record for the longest running number one for the female rapper?
Nicki Minaj.
Iggy Azalea for Fancy. Let's not forget at one point the best-selling rapper in history is Eminem. Let's not understand Jack Harlow. Like, I feel like, let's be honest, I feel like if we can allow white rappers to come and share the same space as their black counterpart, I don't see the issue with Sugar coming in and being embraced by the community. Because, remember when Justin Bieber was performing at the BET Awards? Like, do we remember Justin Timberlake? I feel like we've accepted at this point, white artists, Post Malone. We've accepted white artists in black art forms and black spaces, and we celebrate their art. I don't know why when it's an Asian person or a K-pop star coming in, there's suddenly a problem. Eminem at one point was the king of hip hop. Eminem has at one point sold the most records out of any rapper of his time. I think Eminem is the only rapper to have 2 diamond albums.
Now that you're like bringing up all these points, I think the other thing that specifically the American market hasn't had with a lot of these K-pop idols that are really talented rappers, like we're talking about J-Hope, Yoongi, you know, all these really talented people, they haven't had that like Black American usher them into the space, like Eminem, Dr. Dre. You had, you know, Justin Bieber, Usher. You know, you have like a black person going, hey,
Co-signing
this
it.
non-black person is actually really good.
Azalea's T.I.
Exactly. And I feel
Yeah.
like until we get that, like even with, what is it, J. Cole doing the collab with J-Hope, more of Cole's fans were like, oh wait, J-Hope's actually a talented artist because they had the black person go, hey, look at this guy doing his thing. So, I mean, Yoongi is such a talent. I feel like someone needs to come out of hide and be like, who knows, Jay-Z, go, look at this man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what it would take for it to like really blow up.
But also, let's talk about it. Like, name the last Asian pop star in America, pre-K-pop.
Pre-K-pop.
I got you there, girl.
Because I was about to say Rina. She's
Shuriyama,
like,
but
she's
like,
from the UK.
oh yeah,
too.
yeah.
But
But
she's
like,
not pre-K-pop.
name the last like actually like before.
Nicole Scherzinger.
She's Polynesian, so that's problematic. She's
She's
Pacific
Asian.
Islander. But like, let's talk about it. It's like before Shang-Chi, name the last Asian-led movie that was a blockbuster. Like, I think this is a deeper issue where I'm not trying to make this political, but like, I think out of any group, I feel like Asians are the least represented. You know, they're having a great renaissance, like with Michelle Yoon and all that. But like, I remember growing up, like I didn't see a lot of Asian representation.
But I think while we're on the same topic, let's take a moment to acknowledge that it is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Because they're different.
And now it's time for our final segment, Debate Time, where we are going to be discussing the exodus of K-pop stars to the Chinese market.
The list goes on and on. T-ara, Luhan, Tao,
Victoria.
Song Victoria, address her correctly. The 3 Chinese members from WJSN,
IOI's Pinky. Amber FX.
Yeah, like,
And your girl, Jessica.
period. I mean, that's a whole slew of people. Like, why do you think China's one of the main go-tos for having a successful second act?
Well, first of all, it's a massive market. Massive market with a unified media system in a way where it's like once you really hit it big, you can reach a lot of people very quickly.
I mean, China did overtake America recently on just being the country with the biggest buying power. And Forbes did an article not too long ago about this, where a celebrity in China can make about 7 times more what a celebrity in Korea makes. Even though K-pop or Korean media has such a big reach, it's still crazy that working in China basically still produces larger numbers. Like how do you think that happens?
Well, I think one of the reasons is because some of these stars can no longer promote in Korea because they've been blacklisted or just let go of the company that they were under. For example, Amber, like she literally had this whole thing where she was canceled by the fandom after her blunder with the Black Lives Matter movement. And, you know, all of a sudden she started popping up this year in China and she's performing or a contestant under a reality show there. But I find it so interesting because like Amber is like, I know she doesn't identify as LGBT, but like she is definitely gender nonconforming. And I think it's so weird how China is like somehow accepting that because they're so strict with media in general. Like they censor any LGBT scenes that are in movies. They don't want to portray that in media. So I'm just like kind of shocked to see that she's being embraced in media there. I know she doesn't identify as LGBT, but she is gender nonconforming. And I know over there in the media, ever since the Chris Wu scandal, actually, a lot of their male stars who before had that flower boy aesthetic or were a little bit more gender neutral, now they started to like really be more strict about how men are supposed to look in media. Same thing with women. So I'm just kind of like, how did she surpass that?
Because, even when T-ara, when they went through their bullying scandal, and because at one point when China, that whole breakdown with China and Korea, they were the only K-pop group that was promoting, and the numbers were coming back that, I think their company had said it, or there was a blind item. What they made in China was a lot more than they ever made in Korea. Like, do you think it's how, like, the company system is? I feel like a lot of companies in Korea sign their artists to, like, a full 360, maybe, and, like, for people that don't know, they get everything. So they get not just your music, they get your drama, your endorsement deals. So, like, do you think maybe that could be something, like, how companies take out from their earnings is different in China?
The last stat I heard, Korea's entire population as a country is well under 100 million people.
Oh, wow.
In comparison to China, where you have a little over 1 billion people.
With a B.
So when you look at those numbers alone, and when you look at one country's, media, and when I say media system, I'm not talking about like these little like underground or like online, but like media as a whole. Like
China has their own social media. They have their own state. They have their own thing.
Yeah. And so I think the fact that it's so large and it's concentrated in a way where everyone really goes to the same platforms, that it's easier to get that revenue that's massive. Because also when you think about it, you were talking about buying power. When you look at a lot of products in the States, where are they made? In China. So people own those companies that make those things. And those people also have friends, children who have money. And then they spend their money how they want. And then those artists can make more money because it's huge.
But also you see a lot of artists in China, they have their own companies. Like they have like Luhan, Tao,
Lay,
they're their own companies. With enough capital, I think a lot of these artists can start their own production and benefit from that, which I don't think you can do in Korea, because Korea, I think their company system is so, I think it's hard to be independent and strike out on your own.
Yeah. And I also think the fact that a lot of these artists start up in Korea and then gain a global fandom, but then also for some of them return to a country they grew up in. Not only do they have their own national capital in China, but then they have international as well. So then they make even more money.
But you don't see the girls going to Japan for their second acts.
I was just going to mention that. Why do you think it's China and not Japan? Because, for example, when Jaejoong went through that whole debacle with TVXQ, he started promoting in Japan, and that's where he is full time, basically.
Japan is one of the top 5 largest music markets in the country, but I'm thinking Japan doesn't have the same population. Because at one point, before Korea, Japan was the number one. Japan, I think, had the number one cultural exports from Asia at the time.
Music, yeah, J-pop.
In terms of music. And I think now, because remember also like in the early days of like Girls' Generation, Kara, like K-pop companies were trying to make it big in Japan and get that reach now. Because I think the mindset is you make it big in Japan, you can then try and break into America, because Japan at the time was, again, had a very, very large cultural export media. But now I think K-pop has become so global and you don't need that middleman of Japan. I don't see it being that like, I need to go to Japan, because I think at this point now, yeah, you can be successful in Japan, get your coin, but I don't think it's going to lead to anything beyond Japan, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question. Do you think that it's going to be easy for a lot of non-Chinese descent idols to be welcomed in
China?
Yeah, like for example, Jessica Jung. I remember the whole thing about her making a resurgence under the reality show that she competed. Like even
Saying she was Chinese American?
Yeah, like that was a thing in the show. Like they were trying to pass her off as Chinese American.
That was a little odd to me because I love you, Jessica, but like you can say girls' generation. Like you can say it. Because I feel like on the show, she was very much like, I got my start in a famous girl group. We know what girl group it is. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was needed because at that point, she already was a star in China. Like she had already had a name. No shade. That's China's where her stores are. Like, you know? So I was really surprised that she tried to pass herself off as Chinese because we have years of interviews and stuff saying she's Korean.
Another question I completely blanked out, but I just remember. Do you think that at one point C-pop is going to overthrow K-pop?
No.
And why?
I feel like this is the thing and the thing is, I've been listening to Mando pop for a very long time, but even before I ever listened to K-pop. But the thing about Mando, I feel like with, and even I feel like this is kind of a similar thing with J-pop as well. I feel like part of the explosiveness of K-pop is the ability to learn the language faster. Because I feel like with Japanese and Mandarin, it is so hard to learn how to be fully literate in those languages, and it takes a lot of time and dedication. Not to say that it doesn't take time and dedication with Korean, but I feel like because it's easier for non-Korean people to grasp the alphabet system and the grammar, I feel like that also plays a part in its expansion.
I think K-pop has done a really good job of adapting to Western music styles that makes it a little bit more digestible for Western audiences. As much as I like, Crystal K, that's a really popular J-pop artist. Girls' Night is still one of my bops.
Superman is my favorite.
I think it's really hard. Controversial take. I've heard a lot of people say the reason why they don't like C-pop, I can't say about J-pop, is they don't like how the language sounds, which I've never heard of. And I feel like that's really problematic for me to say, but we are being very, that's something I've heard where they're just like, we don't like how it sounds.
I don't know about that because
I love how Mandarin's.
For me, I think Mandarin is such a pretty language, and I think all languages are amazing. But for me, when you're insinuating the language doesn't sound as good, bitches listen to German pop and Russian, and you know what I mean?
Listen, the Mandarin versions of EXO's music
is
so much better than the Korean.
Wait. Can I get on this high horse for just one moment?
Yes, please.
It will be under a minute. When I tell you, and I'm going to exclude all of the scandals and all of the mess right now.
What is love in Mandarin?
And I'm going to even tie in Wavy into this. When you listen to XOM and Wavy's discography, oh my goodness, is it like
amazing?
The flow, the cohesion. It's just, and it's not to say that the Korean versions aren't great, but I mean, when you listen to XOM, Black Pearl, please, like it will move you. It will, or what is it? Oh my gosh, what is it? Moonlight.
The Mandarin version of Overdose still hits. I'm gonna be very honest about that.
Like truly,
and Love Me Right.
Oh my goodness, that's why for me it personally hurts how XOM has dissolved. But yeah.
History in Mandarin.
Every song in Mandarin.
But for me, that's the thing. I feel like that's something I've heard a lot, but I think that's a very superficial reason. I think what it is just...
Also xenophobic.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And I support all, But I think for me, I think what it is K-pop came at the right time and blew up. I just think people are just choosing to say something like that because... Again, things just happen, like certain trends. Like, remember years ago, we were like, oh, the 2000s were gross, and that was the worst time for fashion. And Y2K is like back now. So I just think it's a very superficial reason, but I think I felt like That was something that I've heard. Do I think C-pop can have its moment in the sun or J-pop? Absolutely. Again, I just think representation and a flushed out version of representation just takes time.
Honestly, I feel like, with K-pop stars going to China, I feel like they have found a way to not only build their success in one market, but then carry it over to another in a fluid way for them that really boosts their persona globally. And if it works, it works.
And I think it's great because a lot of these artists, are so talented. And I just can't get past how people have ostracized them and just blacklisted them from the K-pop market. Do I agree with everything they have done? No. But I think that people should be given the opportunity at a second chance and to continue to, fight after their dreams. So congratulations to all of these stars who have found success now in the Chinese market. And that will be the last thing we will speak about this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Make sure to follow our podcast on Spotify. We are the K-Pop Bible. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube, same name, the K-Pop Bible. And lastly, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We are the K-Pop Bible Online. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.